Hello, it's Sonia here, The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today is Tuesday, and that means it's Tunisian Tuesday. So today we are going to kind of piggyback off of the stitch that we learned last week and do the same stitch but do a variation of it. So I think it's really pretty. The one we did last week is really pretty. I really like it. And I was playing around with it and I thought, oh, this might be fun to you just kind of change it up a little bit. So today I am using my eye hook or 5.5mm hook and just some basic worsted weight number 4 yarn. This is actually cotton yarn. So to get started, you are going to need to chain an even number. So we'll chain 14. Okay, so we have 14 chains. So row 1, just like last week, was going to be the setup row. We're going to work in that back bump, and we're going to pull up a loop in the second bump from our hook, and we're just going to continue across, pulling up loops. And with Tunisian crochet, it's always worked in 2 parts. The first part of each row is you're putting your stitches on your hook, and then the second part, you're taking the stitches off, and then that will be 1 row. So if you've never done Tunisian crochet before, I do have a complete playlist that goes over the basics to get you started. Okay, so I have my 14 loops on my hook, so now we need to work these off. So we're going to work them off by yarning over, pulling through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. Okay, so there is row 1. So let's begin row 2, and this will be a 2-row repeat, where the stitch last week was just a 1-row repeat. Okay, so we're going to insert our hook in the first 2 vertical bars. So we're working a decrease or together stitch, just like the stitch we learned last week. Yarn over, pull through, and pick up our loop there. So now we're going to yarn over and go right back in those 2 stitches and pull up a loop. And we're going to complete it by yarning over and pulling through 2 loops. And now we have the correct number of stitches on our hook, because when we get to the end of this row, we will still have 14 loops on our hook. So we're going to repeat that across. So go in the next 2 vertical bars, yarn over, pull up our loop, yarn over again, right back in those vertical bars, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And we're just going to repeat that across until we get to our last stitch. Okay, so we have 1 more stitch to go. So in that last stitch that looks like a chain, you insert your hook and pull up a loop. And now we work these loops off, just like we did for row 1, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. Alright, so now we're going to work row 3. So this is going to be a 2-row repeat. In our very first stitch, we're going to work Tunisian simple. So yarn over, just pull up a loop. Now we're going to work the Tunisian stitch like we did for row 2. We're going to insert our hook in the next 2 vertical bars, yarn over, pull up our loop. We're going to yarn over, go right back in there, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to repeat across. So next 2 vertical bars, yarn over, and we're going to go all the way across until we have 2 stitches left. Okay, so now I have 2 stitches left, so that second to last stitch I'm working just a Tunisian simple, and then I'm going to work in that stitch that looks like a chain. Yes, I am. There we go. And we still have our 14 loops on our hook, and we're just going to yarn over and work those off. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. And there we go, there is row 3. So what you're going to do is you're going to repeat rows 2 and 3 for however long you want your swatch. So this is row 4, going in those first 2 vertical bars, yarning over, right back in there, pulling up a loop, and just repeating across. So just by working that Tunisian simple in that first stitch for when we worked row 3, it just kind of staggers the stitches a little bit just to give it a little bit of a different look. And I think that is a fun thing that you can do. It doesn't have to be super complicated to just, you know, change it up a little bit. So I'm going to keep going, repeating my rows 2 and 3 for a couple more rows, and I will meet you back. Okay, so here we go. I worked 10 rows, and I do think with this particular stitch pattern, it works best if you end on a row 2. So let's bind off. So I was kind of playing around with different bind offs, and I think I came up with one that I like with this one. So our first stitch is Tunisian simple, and then the next one we have like that little, it almost looks like a chunky pearl there. So I think for this one we're going to do the half slip, so that's a yarn over, insert our hook like Tunisian simple, and we're going to pull through all those loops. And then the next stitch, just Tunisian simple, bind off, and then the yarn over, work that half slip across. We're just going across here, working the bind off. Now you can just bind off the regular way if you prefer. It's completely up to you. I like to show these stitch patterns and just to kind of give people inspiration. I think that looks really nice. I like that bind off. So here we go. And again, this is just a slightly different variation, and I'll just pop up on here over here so you can see the comparison between this one and the other stitch pattern. Again, it's similar but slightly different. And that's the fun thing with crochet and Tunisian crochet in general, just taking simple stitches and just kind of tweaking them a little bit to get a new stitch pattern. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.